is a war that until that day, the dream of lasting peace, world citizenship, rule of international morality will remaining but a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained. Now everywhere is war, war, and until the ignoble and unhappy regime that hold our brothers in Angola, in Mozambique, South Africa, subhuman bondage have been toppled, totally destroyed. Well, everywhere is war. Me say war. War in the east, war in the west, war in the north.
Thank you, young lady, for helping. Okay.
Comes out.
Love y'all.
War, war. Rumors of a war. And until that day, the African continent will not know peace.
Yeah, just go ahead out. Okay. Thank you, y'all.
We find it necessary, and we know we shall win, as we are confident in the victory of good over evil. Good over evil, yeah. Good over evil.
Greetings and Rastafari blessings. I want to welcome everyone who took the time out of their busy schedules to celebrate with I and I today. I want to open up with Isis. All Isis in honor and glory unto their divine majesties. Kadamawi Haile Selassie I and his divine consort, Empress Menen Asfa. I and I give thanks to be able to come together this day in honor of the honorable, esteemed warrior Empress Taitu of Ethiopia, and also to honor the sisters of Rastafari, the matriarchs who stand also within her energy, the strategic leaders, the warrior ayatas who have laid the groundwork for those of I and I within this Iowa to be able to continue their work. I and I stand on the shoulders of strong Rastafari women, and I give thanks and praises to their divine majesties to walk in their footsteps.
Yes, greetings, one and all, in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, and the perfect balance Empress was Zero Menen. It's a great honor and a privilege to gather today to commemorate a great Ethiopian victory, a great Ethiopian battle. And I would just say how good and how pleasant it is for brethren and sisters to dwell together in perfect love and unity. It's like a precious ointment upon I head that runneth down to I biceps, even Aaron's biceps down to the skirts of his garment. It's like the dew of Hermon, the dew that I sendeth upon the idolful mountains of Zion. There the true and living I commanded his richest blessing, even life and love forever and ever. Let the words of thine mouth and the meditations of thine heart humbly and truly be acceptable in the eyesight, O true and living I, O Emperor Haile I, Selassie I the first, King Rastafari. And yes, once again we are here with the School of Sacrament, Rastafari University, and the universal development of Rastafari. My name is Dechazmach Kwasi, I am one of the founding members of the Universal Development of Rastafari, current board member, and I will be one of your co-hosts today, along with my royal co-host, Empress Rasef Jazanai Kush. So we give thanks for your presence today. Now we're going to jump right into the program. Why are we here? We are here today to celebrate or celebrate the 125th anniversary of the Battle of Adwa. And in doing so, highlight the contributions of some of our own Rastafari matriarchs who embody the spirit and the mission of Adwa even unto this day. Adwa stands as an African victory that is important not just for Ethiopia, but for the Pan-African world. It was an amplification of the Haitian Revolution, which took place starting in 1791, culminating in the Haitian victory in 1804. Adwa was also a trumpet around the world that the scramble of Africa would not fully consume Mama Africa. It was March 1st and 2nd of 1896, and it was a rallying cry that stood in opposition to the Italian designs that were set at the Berlin Conference years earlier. During this battle, Empress Taitu played a pivotal role, along with her king, Emperor Menelik II. Empress Taitu exemplified the term helpmate because she not only helped her kingman to victory, but she also secured for herself an indelible place in the history of the world and the history of Africa. And we recall she also was critical in establishing Addis Ababa. She chose that city which would welcome the coronation of the King of Kings and the Almighty. So we salute Empress Taitu. Royal co-host, can you please just elaborate a little bit about some of the majestic matriarchs that we will be discussing today?
My pleasure. First off, Mama Faya. Mama Faya is one of the few women of her generation raised within the faith of Rastafari from birth, who was also a witness to the arrival of the emperor on his 1966 state visit to the island. Raised within the Nyabingi tradition, Mama Faya is well known locally and internationally for her devotion to the ritual of the Nyabingi ceremony and is widely respected for her matriarchal balance and exercise of wise congressional counseling to navigate challenges. Mama Faya is perhaps the first Rastafari woman to construct a community tabernacle within her gates in Portland, a site now active for 2 decades and focused on the Nyabingi celebration of the Battle of Adwa. Nana Faraika, our next matriarch, highlighted, is a journalist, Pan-African activist, author, and one of the first published female authors of the movement. Her list of accomplishments is vast and includes advocacy and support for and mobilization of several Rastafari and Maroon groups and delegations. Nana Faraika was also instrumental in mobilization of Rastafari resources for the Smithsonian Institution's Discovering Rastafari exhibit and the establishment of the Universal Development of Rastafari, Inc., better known as IDOR. Serving as the organization's first executive director, Nana Faraika continues to uplift with her determined and focused resolve, writing her own narrative, inspiring past, current, and future generations of warrior women. I'd like to give some details for SOSA Crew. Be mindful that we are streaming via live stream on Facebook. We also invite our Facebook audience to share their own attributes or comments in the chat, and I will share them here. Details for the SOSA Crew, are Facebook at SOSA Crew EDU, Instagram, Sosa Crew EDU, Twitter, Sosa Crew EDU, and YouTube, Sosa Crew. Again, the spelling is SOSACRUEDU. Give thanks.
Okay, give thanks. I believe I'm going to move forward into the presentation now. Glory to word, glory to sound, glory to the names of Kadamawi, Haile Selassie I, and Empress Menen Asfa, all praises and all honor, all glory. I'm going to give a little historical perspective for Empress Taitu. This is the Empress that I are honoring, I matriarchs in the Irit of, and I would like to give a little perspective, a deep, in-depth perspective of who she was.
Excuse me, one moment there, Dr. Wolete. Before you go into your segment, I think these fine people joining us this afternoon should know a little bit about who you are and the magnitude of what they bring to the table. So forgive I, let me first introduce Dr. Wolete, otherwise known as Dr. Dina Marie Beresford. She is currently the area manager at the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. She shares that Rastafari woman harnessing the warrior spirit of Empress Taitu. She is currently the president of the Universal Development of Rastafari, a long-time Nyabingi sister, and she is a guide and a light to many. Please welcome today Dr. Mama Wolete. Now you can full up. I couldn't just let you just jump into the sweetness. I had to give the idea I do, you know, so give thanks. We're looking forward.
Yes, I accepted the just much Kwasi, and I give the thanks for that. Give thanks. So I today, gathering to reason about the matriarchs that have really set the trajectory for the movement for I, and we are framing that within the irit of Empress Taitu. So Empress Taitu Betul was born in 1851 on August 17th. She became the ruling empress of Ethiopia and had a 24-year reign on November 4th, 1889. That was her coronation day. Like the Jasmach Kwasi mentioned, she founded the capital city of Addis Ababa, the New Flower, and her baptismal name was Walata Mikael. Empress Taitu came from a ruling family within the northern region, in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. Her father was Betul Haile Mariam, and he was from the region of Yeju and Gondar in the north. Her mother, Yewibdar, was from Gojam in the north as well. She was born of an Oromo heritage. She was of Oromo ancestry. And based on this Oromo ancestry, one of the traditions, at least at that time, was the genital mutilation that took place and happened to the young female children. Taitu Betul did fall, I wouldn't say fall victim, but she did participate in that genital mutilation, which left her barren. Unfortunately, she was never able to bear children as a result, and had 4 husbands. Menelik was her 4th husband, her first marriage taking place at just 10 years old. By the time she was married to Menelik, she had her own challenges within her ruling family within Ethiopia. They had a strong hold in the region for 2.5 centuries, dating forward to the 15th century. Her uncle, who was her great-grandfather, I pray thee, who was Ras Gebre of Simeon, he ruled for 44 years. He was famed for several reasons, and one of them is that he had his taxes paid to him in gold. The other reason that her great-grandfather Gebre of Seaman was famed was that he provided food for all of his constituents, saving them from having to do the labor of farming so that they would be fit to actually do the work that he needed to have done. That was her great-grandfather. Her grandfather also governed in the region of Seaman. Her second great-grandfather, Ras Gugza, he was a leader from the Wereshek Yeju ruling family of Wollo. And finally, her uncle, Dijasmach Wube, ruled in the Tigray province. So we see, based on this little bit that I've given, Empress Taitu came from a ruling family that had a foothold of almost 300 years in the region. The northern region of Ethiopia was her playground. She can move around in these spaces with fidelity. So this is what helped to really lead the victory of Ottawa, is the familiarity with the region and knowing where the soldiers would be able to hide and really stake their victory. Empress Taitu wielded considerable power prior to and after her marriage to Menelik II. At that time, he was the king of Showa. Menelik consulted Empress Taitu in all matters, all affairs, all important affairs. He would ask for her to share her irit on the way forward. When Menelik said, Ishi, Nega, yes, yes, tomorrow, he's answering to questions being posed to him, questions that he deemed to be difficult questions. He would say, Ishi, Nega, yes, tomorrow, tomorrow. Taitu would retort almost immediately with a MB, and MB is absolutely not. This was the irit that she used to lead and to also help to influence many of the decisions that took place. Empress Taitu was ahead of her time in many ways. She was not just a political figure based on her foundation in the region or based on her positioning as empress and the wife of Menelik II, but she was taught diplomacy. This was part of her education, part of her rearing. She was taught diplomacy. She was taught the game of chess. She played the 10-string instrument, the begender. She was a strategist. She spoke and wrote Amharic, and I did mention that she came from an Oromo tradition. So this was in addition to her actual tongue. She did speak Amharic and had an amazing comprehension ability. She overstood the ancient language of the liturgy of Ethiopia. She spoke, she overstood or comprehended with fluency Ge'ez as well. Her aristocratic lineage, as I said, dated back to the 15th century, and it was in the northern region of Ethiopia, in Semien, in Gojam, in Yeju, in Lasta, in Wollo, and in Begimder. So it was very strategic, her marriage to Emperor Menelik, and the goal was that her family, who had ruled that region for some almost 300 years, would keep their foothold in the region. And connecting her to the time, the king of Showa at the time would really secure that for them. So today, as I celebrate the matriarchs within the Rastafari movement, Mama Faya and Nana Faraka Burhan, as we think about their journey within Rastafari, as we think about the almost 60 years, maybe 60.5 years of work that Nana Faraka has put in for African people, for Rastafari, throughout her life in journalism, her life as a writer, as an author, as a poet, as an activist, social activist, all of the work that she has put in that is laid out before I, we give so much thanks. We give honor, we give praise to you, Nana Faraka Burhan, for what you have given us, for your sacrifice along the journey, and for the perfect example that you have really laid forward for I daughters and brethren within the Rastafari movement to follow. So today we give you honor and praise. We sit at your feet and we give you your flowers. Mama Faya, give thanks for your work within Rastafari, within the theocratic government. It is very necessary. Give thanks for acknowledging the leadership and the fire that came through that same irit of Empress Taitu, that leadership that secured the victory and sovereignty of Ethiopia. We give thanks that you uphold that word sound, you uphold that fire, and every year I are reminded through chanting and through Isis of the great work that Taitu has done and the great work that the I continues to do. Give thanks for defying what science said is the way that things would go. Give thanks for shooking medicine and coming forward, fully restored to the I's past glory, and chanting Isis to Kadamawi Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen Asfa. We give thanks for your work, and today and every day we sit at your feet and we take counsel. All praises unto Kadamawi Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen. We give thanks.
Give thanks, Rases Waleti, for that ileful remembrance of the works of Empress Taitu and being able to highlight her blue fire, because that's essentially, who Empress Taitu represents. She represents that fire that burns within, that fire that cannot be quelled, that fire that leads and inspires. And the I's presentation and honor to the matriarchs is most befitting.
Yes, I.
Next, I would like to introduce Sister Iris May, who is a member of the foundation, Empress Menen Asfa, out of Chile.
I give thanks for this opportunity where a message of love and respect can be sent to I loved Nana Farika, as her works, her word sound, has been spread all over the world like a seed of fire, lifting I culture and living faith. I am Sister Iniris from Chile, South America. And I can tell in this moment that as a young Rastafari woman, the example given to I with the written works among the years have been fruitful. When I started to gather and organize when I was 19 years old, I attended my first Omega assembly. I walked from my parents' house more than 15 years ago, went by bus, subway, and train to the place where I sisters were gathering, and one of the subjects of the meeting was the reasoning of the principles of the daughters of the theocracy and texts about Rastafari women.
Painted with the most delicate brushes. Legacy, purpose, and the response to mi abuela's call. I am the new generation of the voice that shouts
From all that I need, all that I need, all that I am over the years. Much love in the name of Lady Selassie and Empress Menen.
Light is ready to pass.
Please forgive the interruption. We're sorting out the technical difficulties. Apparently something interfered with that. I think we're going to move on with the program, however. We give thanks for those powerful word sound. We're going to ask everyone who's coming into this very mighty gathering to mute your mic upon entry. Our crew in the background is doing their best to catch up, but we do have a lot of ones coming in simultaneously. So please ensure that your mics are muted. That being said, I want to introduce our next presentation. This next gentleman is a doctor who has made his life studying the Rastafari movement. He formerly worked for decades at the Smithsonian Institute. He's a published author. He's a renowned researcher, and I'm sure one of his greatest achievements, he would agree, was as curator of the Discovering Rastafari exhibit at the Smithsonian, which was welcomed millions of visitors during its debut. So I want to just welcome Dr. Jakes Homiak. Jakes, please.
Blessed love, give thanks, my brother Raskwasi. Greetings in the name of Kedamawe Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen Asfa. It is my great honor to be here this afternoon to be able to present on two extraordinary Rastafari matriarchs. I have known Mama Fire almost since the beginning of my 41 years in moving with Rastafari. And I've known Nana Faraika since 1988 when we collaborated together on bringing the first delegation of elders to the US. But let me start with some biographical notes on Mama Fire. And let me say that, as has been pointed out, the IRITs in which both Mama Fire and Nana Faraika have moved are truly within the Ayata warrior iris of Empress Taitu. Many trials and tribulations faced, many battles fought, many victories won. Mama Fire was born on April 30th, 1954. She is, as has been pointed out, unique in the sense that she was born into a Rastafari family, grew in a Rastafari family, has grown her own Rastafari family, and is the mother of 9 grandchildren and 2 great-grand. She is the daughter of an important Rastafari lineage that includes Bunga David Wolf and his Empress, and his brother, Ras Solomon Wolf, who needs no introduction. She had 3 king men, Ras Iverton, who is the father of her first 3 children, Bungo Shorty, who was the father of 2 children, and Daddy Fire, who is the father of Sister Taitu. It's already been talked about the authority with which Mama Fire speaks within the house. She carries her own retinue with her. She carries her family and others with her. She provides the unity of father, mother, and child, the fullness of Jah creation. And she speaks with authority and measured word sound within the congregation. So in the heat of the Nyabingi fire, many often turn to Mama Fire to modulate that in an appropriate way. It's been also noted that she is singularly unique in the fact that she is a tabernacle keeper. She constructed and maintained her own tabernacle, and we know that now as the tabernacle at White Rock, Portland, where for 17 years the Battle of Adwa celebration has been kept. What is lesser known is it didn't happen just so. The fact is that when Mama Fire was together with Bungo Shorty in the area near Spring Garden, Portland, they were on captured land and they were developing that land as a tabernacle site. They were moved off that land by claimants that were of dubious origins. And then Mama Fire mobilized to have another tabernacle there and to hold a bingi there, which was also fought against. So it's through these trials and tribulations that she has prevailed to keep the place, to keep the tabernacle, the ibernacle at White Rock, and continues to do so. A bit on Mama Fire's early years. Like Empress Taitu, she did not have formal education, although she learned very much on the job through the experience in representing Rastafari. Again, she was one of 9 children. Her mother was asthmatic, and she had to stay home and look after the 5 younger siblings. So for much of the time, she only got to go to school for 2 or 3 years, and she attended what is now the legendary Father Gooden School, the Rainbow Healing Temple School on Spanish Town Road. When she was 13 or 14, her mother transitioned. Again, she's charged with keeping care of her younger siblings. The family had moved to the Gully Bank along Waterhouse. And at that time, as Mama Fire told me, they were living near Bungo Sheffon and Mama Bubbles. She said Mama Bubbles became the mother that became her mother after her mother transitioned. Something we should look into, the fact that sistren like this are caregivers and surrogate mothers in Rastafari. And of course, Mama Fire knows the whole lineage of matriarchs within the Bingi house. I want to note that I think it's important to note with Mama Fire, she has what I would call a unique and unusual early sealing as a Rastafari warrioress. Sealing through the power of the Most High, Jah Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I. When she was 12 years old, she went with her schoolmates with Father Gooden to Palisados to see His Majesty. Her father had been off with other brethren to take the drums and the chants and to be around the aircraft when His Majesty landed. So as a young girl of short stature and like all of her schoolmates, they couldn't see in the tumultuous crowds and get a good look at His Majesty. She determined that she would see His Majesty before he left the island. And knowing through the publication of the paper, of his movements in the paper, that he would be coming down Spanish Town Road the day that he was leaving for Montego Bay, she staked out a spot for herself on a corner on Spanish Town Road and defended that corner for several hours against any person that attempted to stand in front of her, including all the adults. Yes, His Majesty's car did arrive, and it didn't just pass. His Majesty's car came and stopped at the very spot where she was. She gazed up, and he looked directly into her countenance, and she in his. And in that moment, she described it as a spiritual current that she called a twizzling in her eyes. That was the transference that sealed her. She was the warrioress that would continue from that moment. My time is limited, so I will simply seal by noting that there could be a very long list of the kinds of challenges and battles that Mama Fire has encountered in her life. I will note this one that she has shared with me, and I think it's known fairly widely within the congregation. When she was with Bungo Shorty, she had 2 children, and then she had 10 miscarriages. She miscarried 10 times. A travail reminiscent of that endured by Yeshimabet Ali, the mother of His Imperial Majesty. So when her first child for Daddy Fire was born, the name Taitu was given. That was the name of the overcomer. She overcame then, she will continue to overcome. Mama Fire is love, honor, and respect continually. Blessed love. So let me now turn to Nana Faraika Berhane. Nana Faraika Berhane is, well, let me say that the 2 matriarchs here, interestingly, are separated by almost a generation. They are separated by 17 years. Nana Faraika Berhane was born in Kingston on December 16th, 1937, just months prior to the tumultuous labor riots that unsettled Jamaica from one end to the other. 83 years strong, she is among the most active matriarchs of her age. She is the mother of 4, grandmother to 7. She is perhaps one of the first, maybe the first, Rastafari woman of middle-class origin to cite up Rastafari and to devote her life to the works of Farai, to Pan-African works and the works of African people. Based on her educational background and training, she could have chosen many other courses. She could have chosen her own self-interest. She could have chosen her own self-advancement. Like Empress Taitu, she chose to work on behalf of her people, using her diplomacy, her organizational skills, her literary skills, her authorship, etc. In the early years, Nana Faraika lived in a community in East Kingston. She had resonances to Africa and even Rastafari. Her father was a follower of Garvey. Her mother had descent lines from the Cremanti Maroons of Portland. She was steeped in the story lore of African people during slavery in Jamaica and of the Cremanti traditions. And at a very early age, she came into contact, and by an early age, I mean when she was a young schoolgirl in the mid-1940s, she came into contact with bearded Rastafari who had been hired by the Bustamante government to repair the roads around their neighborhood in East Kingston. Those individuals called to her when she passed on her way to and from school. They called her African princess, African queen. They asked about her studies. They asked to see her books. When seeing that she was studying English history, they advised, study your African history, study your glorious past. That was all in her memory bank for years. And just like Mama Fire, she too had that transformational moment when the emperor visited Jamaica. She didn't even want to go to Palisado. She didn't like crowds, but she was convinced by a friend, a colleague at the Jamaica Information Service, that they should go. Being there, as the emperor's car was getting ready to depart the airport, she positioned herself on a curve thinking she might get a look. Yes, she did get that look because the car slowed as it maneuvered the curve, and His Majesty looked into her countenance and she into his. And when their eyes made four, she said, I remember the look, those eyes of fire, they penetrated to my very soul. 4 or 5 years later, that penetration manifests when she put on her locks and her covenant. Let me jump to her works. There are so many things that could be said about her literary works and her writings that time does not permit right now. Perhaps others will explore that. But in the 1970s, Nana Faraika was at the center of so many things in the Cultural Revolution that was sweeping Jamaica. It was expressed in her activism, it was expressed in her writing, it was expressed in her media work, it was expressed in her poetry. She worked variously at the Gleaner in copy editing. She worked for the Jamaican Information Services. She worked for the Walter Rodney was banned in Jamaica. She worked on the Abeng project for the year and a half or so during which publication took place. She then worked with Ras Historian on the publication of the Rastafari Voice, the first Rastafari newsletter since Leonard Howe attempted to publish newsletters. She worked for literary training with Michael Manley's program that preceded Jamal. And she worked with the Pan-African Secretariat, which was an opportunity that eventually took her to the 6th Pan-African Congress in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. She also started a voluntary literary program for the KSAC, that's the Kingston St. Andrews sanitation workers, and many other things. In the late 70s and early 80s, her activism also took the form of activism for the empowerment of Rastafari women, and she created the Daughters of King Alpha and Queen Omega organization with Empress Ina Bailey, who was one of the older matriarchs in the Nyabingi house at the time. That's a historical marker that needs to be noted because it preceded every other single organization or initiative that was used for the empowerment of Rastafari women. Let me jump now to the 1980s. In the 1980s, much of the work that Nana Faraika did in the 70s spilled over and amplified in the 80s. I want to note two things in particular. One of them was her planning and organization. She was central to the planning and organization of the Rastafari International Theocracy Assembly, the second assembly conference that was held in Jamaica on the Mona campus. That assembly, that gathering was crucial because it brought many brethren and sistren from the Eastern Caribbean to Jamaica, and it began a whole series of networking which led to the formation of the Caribbean Rastafari organization and beyond that. The second thing was something that I had already mentioned, the fact that Nana Faraika really was the catalyst for the Nyabingi Elders tribe that came to the United States in 1988. The background on this is a book in itself, as are so many other things that I've noted. But that was a major event because it brought 15 elders to the United States in the wake of the posse propaganda that was circulating across the country, linking Rastafari to Jamaican posse members. And what that delegation and mission did ultimately was it consolidated relationships and strengthened communities, Rastafari communities from New York all the way to Miami and east to Chicago, south to New Orleans and Atlanta. So that was a major event in which Nana Faraika was completely central. I can only just in passing note the fact that also in the 80s, she was involved in Maroon heritage work. She was made an honorary Maroon, and she was named as from 1984 to 1994, she was named as the official representative to the Akangpang Maroon Council, and she did much work there. As evidence of that was in 2016, when Prince Ermia Selassie and his delegation visited Jamaica for the 50th anniversary of the visit, they visited Akangpang with Nana Faraika. And I'll finish by just noting a few notable things that have happened since then. In 2003, Nana Faraika organized the Rastafari Women's Conference at Howard University. In 2004, she became a founding member of IDOR, Universal Development of Rastafari, which is the organization representing the Washington-Baltimore Rastafari community. In 2004, she was also named to the advisory committee for the Smithsonian's Discovering Rastafari exhibition planning, and she played a central role on that. In 2012, she traveled to South Africa to participate in the Global African Diaspora Conference. In 2013, she was in Ethiopia to attend the Golden Jubilee of the founding of the Organization of African Unity and the African Union. And she has continued her involvement in the community, continued to write. She is now in the process, I think, of writing her memoirs, but still the activism continues. And Nana Faraika, as with Mama Fire, all I can say is perfect love, respect, and honor. Enough honor, honor, honor. Continue the works. We pray for both of you, the blessing, the strength, and health that's given by His and Her Imperial Majesty. Jah Rastafari guide and protect and bless. Haile.
Yes, give thanks, Brother Jake, the Homiak. Very rousing history, and it was also very enlightening, even for those of us who know these two powerful matriarchs, very enlightening. So we're going to keep the program moving forward to Chile.
Much love and respects To every eye, in the name of Haile Selassie I and Empress Menenai Ja, Rastafari. I'm Sister Ainiris from South America, Chile, member of the Fundación Empress Menen Asfa Chile, giving thanks for this moment of tribute in unity, where I and I go over language barriers and lift a voice to send a message of gratitude to I beloved Mama Faya. I and I, young Rastafari community at South America, had the blessing of sharing time with the visit of Mama Faya, Sister Taitu, and the elders at the Nyabingi Summit, where I and I could learn with the living example that she is. Give thanks. Also had moments that every eye in this corner of the earth will always remember, with Mama Faya giving citations about the Battle of Adwa, the Fayaki, the role of the sistren at the movement, overstanding about balance. Give thanks. I and I had also an Omega reasoning gathered around her, where I and I could know her as a woman, as a mother, a sister, with tears and emotions in our hearts. For such a big blessing it was to be there with her and with I love Sister Taitu, sharing delicious cookings and coconut oil also. I and I grow strong with this living example. I and I learn with her wisdom and humbleness. I and I could see royalness in realness. Much gratitude. I loved Mama Faya. Give thanks continually.
Rastafari, give thanks for that word sound coming over land and sea from Chile. Next, I and I will have an testimony from Sister Mitzi. Sister Mitzi is a long-standing member of the Nyabingi Order with years of extensive service, much of which has been in leadership, public relations, and media production, affiliated to Rastafari community organizations such as the Bob Marley Foundation and Best FM. Sister Mitzi is a beneficiary of the eldership of our honorees today and wishes to share a brief tribute. Sister Mitzi.
We're asking Sister Mitzi to unmute, please.
Greetings. Greetings.
Greetings, we're hearing.
Yes, I blessed greetings. Greetings, family, in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I and our beloved Mother Empress Menen Asfa. Give thanks. It's really an honor for me to be here this evening and I continue to extend Rastafari Nation honors to our sisters in the family. I really am a beneficiary of the eldership and the guidance and the custodianship and the guardianship of these two matriarchs who stand out as exemplary leaders in our community who have continued and consistently shared love, guidance, protection, the wise mind with all of I, nationally and internationally. After hearing so much, in relation to I, beloved mothers, I think I just want to speak specifically now about, Mama Fire as I know her as a sister, as an empress, and as a warrior queen, journeying with her for decades, and specifically being there with her as she rose from the ashes of the fire of radiation, chemotherapy, and treatment of cancer in 2013. That was an experience that was almost, um, Mama Fire and I didn't start our sisterly holding hand, heart-touching journey at that time. I had the experience of journeying with Mama Fire when our dear beloved Bonga Shorty, her former kingman, was going through the same thing. And just as my kingman at the time, who had introduced me to these two matriarchs when I came into the Bingy house, you know, he said to me, he took me to Mama Fire and he said, "This is my sister." And I embraced Mama Fire as such, as my sister. And I felt the same way about Bongo Shorty at the time. And, when he was to go through his treatment, I took him to my mother, who was the chief radiographer at KPH at the time, and said, "Mommy, this is my brother, and I need you to take the best care of him." And that's where Mama Fire and I really solidified a relationship of sisterhood, and this was taken to another level when Mama Fire was diagnosed with cancer in 2013. And cancer is a daunting diagnosis, and it is a death sentence for many people who get it. Mama Fire never ever saw it in this way. She never, she never, I never had the time or space to be sorry for her, nor could anyone have been sorry for her. What she needed at that time was a sister's hand to hold, or many sisters' hands to hold. And she needed us to be a source of strength and to be there for her. When I met Mama Fire, she was introduced to me as Daughter Darling at the time. That's how we knew her. And she exemplified everything that that term of endearment could mean, a darling, in so many ways. Even when she was the one who should have been feeling weak at the time, Mama Fire kept me up through her very, very strong faith in the healing power of Rastafari and in the victory of good over evil. So, at the time, it was not only, we never only held hands as sisters, because during that time, our relationship was based also on a deep sense of trust. She had to trust me as a sister to filter and to shield her at the time from the overload of information and all the terminologies that doctors and medical personnel were bringing to her that she didn't understand and meant nothing to her. I was given the opportunity, the privilege, the responsibility of filtering this information, processing it, and then sharing it with her in the most loving, calming, and compassionate and reassuring way. We discussed whatever was told to us and we made the best decisions. Mama Fire was never daunted by her treatments. I watched her as she was, her goody and her irids were no doubt, put through moments of weakness. She was burnt and scarred by radiation, and her body was drained and weakened, I'm sure, by chemotherapy. But she stood so strong in her faith as a real, real warrior queen, personifying everything that Empress Taitu represented. So, that journey for me was a very empowering and strengthening journey with a sister, as I think all of us should live with each other as sisters, looking out for each other when we need each other most, and making sure that we're there holding hands and keeping each other strong. Mama Fire continues to be a source of strength, of comfort, a sister who shares love, care, nurturing to myself, my family. She and Nana Faraika, personifying and exemplifying the names Nana and Mama, remain very humble, very heartical, embracing not only the family in Jamaica, but our global Rastafari family, as has been said before. So I just want to say, you know, as a Rastafari woman who was exposed to the love and the care and the wise mind of these two matriarchs at a very, very early age and stage in my life, I want to give thanks for their service, to give thanks for their strength as two empresses who have gone through great tribulation and who have survived. Nothing has removed the smile from their faces and the love from their hearts. And on behalf of my family, you know, I would just like to say, Mama Fire, more love and more strength, and give thanks for showing me that even in times of great tribulation and so much uncertainty and of so much fear, and in a situation where, you know, there are so many naysayers and so many people extending negative conversations, Mama Fire stayed firm in her faith in Rastafari. We prayed our days through, we held strong in our faith, and Mama Fire conquered. She remained unconquerable, she remained unmovable, and she never lost a strand of her locks during that time. And that experience was a total experience of the victory of good over evil and His Imperial Majesty breaking every chain and giving I a victory again and again, where we could see our beloved Mama Fire standing with us in the congregation, being a voice of strength, a voice of reprimand, a voice of compassion, a voice of wise mind, one of love, one of peace, but ensuring that we stay grounded and firm in who we are as brothers and sisters in the faith. So, Mama Fire, more love, more strength. I continual blessings to the I and the I family. One perfect love.
Give thanks, Sister Mitzi, for that heartfelt recollection, you know, of seeing firsthand the tribulation. And in fact, I remember seeing the eye and with Mama Fire at a doctor's appointment on one of my trips to Jamaica. So I too can testify, you know, of that solidarity that the eye shared as you conquered that cancer. Now, we're going to continue with the program, and we're going to introduce our next speaker, which is victory, because if we talk about cancer, now we have to talk about the victory. And the victory now comes to us manifested in the form of Mama Fire's daughter, or granddaughter rather, Taitu. No, this is Mama Fire's daughter, I apologize. Empress Taitu, are you there?
Tenistilling brethren and sisters,
Yeah, Bingi.
in the name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen. My name is Taitu, and I am Mama Fire's youngest child. My mother is a well-known Rastafari icon, Queen Mother to many, and the host of the Battle of Adowa Isis, held in Portland, Jamaica, each year on the 1st of March. First and foremost, I would like to give thanks to our African ancestors, such as Queen Makeda, Ras Kassa, Queen Candace, Queen Nzinga, Emperor Menilet II, Empress Taitu, and the list goes on. The history of the Battle of Adowa has played an important role in the life of Mama Fire even before she recognized it. When I checked the history of Empress Taitu and the role she played in the Battle of Adowa and looked at my mother's history, I recognized that the energy of Empress Taitu flows deeply within my mother's vein. I was born 100 years after the Battle of Adowa was fought. My parents said that I was given the name Taitu because I was the only child to have survived after my mother lost 10 children. Growing up, I was always bullied because of my name. Back then, I did not understand how powerful my name is, and so at the time, I hated it. But I then grew older and understood the purpose that it served. My mother fought not only a spiritual battle, but also a physical one in bringing forth children. Therefore, the name was fitting for the only child who had lived after losing so many. Throughout my life, I have faced many challenges, but then again, who hasn't? One of the most challenging periods of my life was being told that my mother had stage 4 cancer and would not survive because of how much the cancer progressed before she found out. At the time, I was in high school and preparing for my CSEC examinations. I can remember how devastated I felt. I cried so much at school that my parents were called in. My mother came and informed my teachers of her situation and that she was going to an institution in Kingston where she was going to receive chemotherapy and radiation for some time. With the help of His and Her Majesty and ones like Sister Mitzi, who was there every step of the way, with Mama, even when we, her children, were unable to make the trot, and everyone else who played an important role so that she could overcome this battle. With the strength and the wisdom from my teachers and the Almighty, I also managed to obtain my CXC subjects and graduated successfully. February of 2017, I traveled to Chile in South America with my mother, Mama Fire. A few others from Jamaica were also present, and other delegates from other parts of South America were also at the summit. I was aware of how respected my mother was locally, but it was the first time that I had experienced how she was loved internationally, and not only to those who knew her, but also to those who she never met. When we arrived at the airport in Santiago, there were so many Rastafarian brethren, sisters, and children from Chile waiting for us to arrive. Throughout the tenure of the summit, I observed the love and blessings that my mother received from these ones who she never met before. Mama Faya was the first female to speak at an Ayabingi Firelight in Chile, and this was an inspiration to the Rastafari women there. Everyone at the summit was interested in everything that Mama Faya had to say, and even though I was there to assist her with whatever she needed, I was almost not needed. They gladly tend to her every need. After my time in Chile, the love that I had for my mother grew even deeper, and if I didn't realize before, I now knew that my mother is and has always been a special being on this earth, and had conquered cancer for so many reasons, more than we, her children, even realized. My time in Chile motivated me to focus on helping my parents open our family restaurant, which is something we always wanted to do. It took us some time to finish it, but thankfully, it is now operational. Some days when I'm in the kitchen and I feel frustrated because the business is very slow and not making profit, and then someone approaches the kitchen who is in need, Mama walks towards them as if she can read their mind and offers them a meal. When I watch how happy she looks serving them the food, and even though the food is hardly selling, it's like it does not matter to her. When they have eaten and continue on their journey, and I ask her, how are we going to manage to buy ingredients for tomorrow? She says, Jah will and always provided for us, my daughter. Don't worry about a thing. And then it hits me. She has been doing this for years. And I see that even though we might not have much, we still have enough to share because of Mama's continual blessing that flows among us. Those that have fallen on the battlefield have sacrificed themselves so that our future would be more secure. And if we, the living, have this responsibility of living up to the sacrifice that they have made. I have now come to the realization of how blessed I am to have been named after such a powerful and tremendous Empress title. Some of my mother's characteristics reminds me of Empress title and assures me that my mother is indeed a warrior. I am eternally grateful to the Almighty for giving my mother the strength and courage to bring another child after going through so many. Mama, the strength that you continually display throughout my life has given me the confidence in myself to conquer whatever battle life throws at me. Last but not least, I would like to take the opportunity to give thanks to the following individuals for their continual contribution to Mama Fire, Papa Fire, and family over the years. On behalf of my siblings, Emmanuel, Princess, Pele, Lijai, Rebecca, and the rest of the family. Ras George Rose, who has contributed to the Battle of Adowa celebration and the Mama Fire family for the last 15 years. Mama Waleti and Mama Tia, who has tried to Jamaica for the Battle of Adowa celebration and contributed in many other ways. Mama Mitzi, who was there with Mama from she was diagnosed straight up until she was in remission. We can never repay you for all that you have done, but I and I can surely send blessings and love your way, Mama. Ras Ivy, Mama Ivy and their family for their continual contribution to Mama Fire and family over the years. Ras Wayne, Ras Kwazi, the Universal Development of Rastafari Idor family, and the School of Sacrament Rastafari University for honoring Mama Fire and showing their appreciation, and the School of Sacrament Rastafari University for honoring Mama Fire and showing their appreciation to her contribution to the Rastafari movement, both locally and internationally. Also, for creating this platform so that I and I could be sharing this moment of joy and optimism regardless of what is going on in Babylon right now. Jelani Naya, Sister Colleen, who kept the communication going until this moment to make sure everything went well. Bongo Joe, Ras Ayavi, and everyone else from the Jamaica Nyabingi house, the Chilean Nyabingi family, and all Rastafari brethren and sisters in the rest of South America. Angelique Purnell, Auntie Nora, Auntie Dorothy, Auntie Rosie, and the rest of the family. Bongo Champs, who brought Mama home every weekend after her treatment and brought her back every Monday to continue her treatment in Kingston. Miss Kemp, Muta Baruka, Mama Taliba, Mama Yaya, Sister Isis, Sister Aisha, Mama Andrea, even though you're not here, we give thanks for your contribution to Mama throughout her sickness while you were here. And if I do not stop here, we will be here tomorrow and the day after that. One love to each and everyone around the globe. Karamawe, Haile Selassie, and Empress Menen.
Give thanks. What an eloquent testimony from Sister Ty too. And also what a testimony of the endurance of the Rastafari family. I can only pray that I are blessed to be able to have 3 and 4 generations of Rastafari as Mama Fire does. Wonderful testimony. I am glad that Sister Tai too had the opportunity to see her mother being honored outside of her particular region, to see that worldwide impact that Mama Fire has. Give thanks. Next, we'll have a presentation from Mama Fire's grandchildren, so that next generation of Rastafari, Isis.
Grandma, you know I love you endlessly. Having a grandma like you is the best thing that ever happened to me. You are my inspiration. You are my role model. You are my everything. We love you, Grandma.
So
Yes, what a beautiful manifestation. They say a child shall lead the way. And you can see that Mama Fire's legacy is assured through not just her own children, but the great grandchildren. So we give thanks. We're going to keep on moving with the program. We're going to go into a tribute to our other matriarch, Nana Foraika, from one of our brethren who used to be here with us in the Washington, D.C. area, who's currently in service to the Rastafari Nation in Jamaica. His name is Aya Gif, known to some as Ras Shayun. So let's hear from Ras Shayun.
It's up, Queen Nana Faraika. I give just one say, give thanks. Can you inspire enough Rastafari youth like I and myself to live clean and know say it's all about education and sharing that education with others. And you know, so naturally we have to live ital and sip up the food where we are grow. Yeah, man, and the ancients we are grow. So yeah, you teach I and I Rastafari youth about the liberty, the ancient Rastafari way of life, and that example where you said all the while with your book, walking with your pen and your paper, keeping that journal, keeping that Rastafari eye straight. Give her thanks, Mama. And I love the eye. I give sister. See you. Greetings.
Yes. And Nana Faraika spent a lot of time with Ras Shayun here in the Washington, D.C. area. And I can say personally that, you know, being a brethren coming into the faith when I was in university at Howard University, Nana Faraika was one of the elders that guided I and I on the trod and really helped to shape even how I and I related, you know, to this trod and to the work and to the philosophy. And one of the things Nana Faraika would always share, you know, sometimes she wouldn't be able to come to the ISIS, you know, at that time we were very zealous for ISIS, and she would say, you know, sometimes, you know, ones have to work while others pray, you know, and the prayer is what even strengthens the works that ones are doing. So if you ever in a space where you can't reach the ISIS, it doesn't mean that you can't send up praises to Kadamawi Haile Selassie through the work that you're doing, you know, whether that be, you know, writing books as Nana Faraika has done, whether that be composing plays as Nana Faraika has done, whether that be through journalism, which Nana Faraika has done, being a poet, which Nana Faraika has done. She has served and worked while others prayed, and also prayed while others worked. So we really want to give, you know, her flowers, and it's an honor to do so. We're going to continue with another tribute to Nana Faraika from a brethren named Ras Simeon. And we're just going to take some time and really show these matriarchs how we feel.
Greetings. I am Ras Simeon. Greetings, Rastafari. I'm here to honor and pay my utmost respect to my great friend and mentor, Nana Faraika. I met Nana Faraika in 1988 when she traveled from California to Washington, D.C. to help the Rastafari movement in Washington organize a trot of elders from Jamaica to the Washington, D.C. and surrounding areas.
I remember meeting Farika for the first time in Baltimore, where I was dispatched to pick her up and bring her into Washington. And I remember when I went to the door and Farika opened it, I mean, she looked at me like I was someone she knew all along. And I actually felt the same way about her. And since that day, I would say she became one of the most important people in my life. Nana Farika is not just one of the most knowledgeable and important Rasta people, but she's also an honorary Maroon. She's an ambassador to the Rasta movement and an ambassador and spokesperson for the Maroons in Jamaica. And that's a very high and rare privilege. Nana Farika is also an excellent journalist and poet and writer. And she has the rare skill of being able to bring together diverse people towards a given cause, as she did with the Elder Strut that took place in 1988. That was no small achievement. She brought people together, and not just Rasta people, people from all different walks of life together to make this grand event happen. And without her, I don't think it could have happened. I remember when my wife was pregnant with my son, who was born in 1988. She was in labor for 2 days and no baby. The midwife, because it was a home delivery, said that unless we get, because my wife was exhausted, unless we have this, get this child in a very short time, we'll have to take her to the hospital. So I called Farika in desperation, and Farika came over and she told me to read a Psalms 7 times and with entire focus. And when I do that, I would get the desire of my heart. So I did it. And that night, my son was born, 1:30 in the morning. So Farika is the godmother of my son, who actually was born on the same day as her son, Marcus. So Farika is family to me. And as I said, one of the most important people in my life. And I am very honored to be here today to speak and give my highest regard to my great friend, Nana Farika. Thank you.
Give thanks for that wonderful testimony of Nana Farika's spiritual energy being conveyed to usher in the birth of the youth. Very idolful. I called to meeting Nana Farika. I met Nana Farika, it must have been the early 90s when I first began to do research on Rastafari women within the movement. And of course, any researcher, after a couple of inquiries, will come across Nana Farika's name. And in doing so, I had the opportunity to not only read about her, but to actually reach out to her via telephone. And she was very gracious. Not only was she gracious, but she was also inspiring, because I was in my early 20s at that time, and I felt a fire bubbling up and, coming to the surface. And I needed to know if within Rastafari, not if it was acceptable, but if it was usual, because many of the sistren that I was around at that time exhibited a different type of energy, an energy that wasn't as ferocious sometimes, Jehovah's as I felt. And so having the opportunity to reason with Nana Farika and to know that this blue fire, I know the name of it now. At that time, I hadn't coined it, but this blue fire energy, this energy of being able to cut and clear the way, this energy of being able to perform in a way that is beneficial to one's immunity. You understand, but still at the same time have honor in an equal way for their divine majesties was something that had already occurred. So I wasn't new to this. You understand? I was following the tradition that had been set forth. So I give thanks to Nana Farika for that. Next, we will have a video by Ross Sidney, who will also have another testimony.
Greetings, Rastafari. My name is Ras Sidney. I was asked to do a tribute for Nana Farika. Nana Farika is someone I met in, I think it was 1986, 1987, while working on a project to bring in Rastafari elders to the U.S. The reason for this trad was because of a problem we had with law enforcement. In 1986, I think 69 families in our area's home was invaded by police. And 2 people went to jail out of that, but the rest there was nothing for them to charge. Anyway, it was a bad occasion and the community was frustrated, and one said we need to do something about this. So one's reached out, and one's from Jamaica, I think, recommended that we reach out to Sister Farika. And she willingly came from California to DC to assist. And I met her, I think, in 1986 or maybe early 87 at Brother Simeon's gate. Jake's was there. That's the first time I met him also. And the plan was made and the project was set and we went to work. I think it took about a year to plan for the 1988 delegation to arrive. We had to do fundraisers, organize place for them to stay, all the necessary things that needed to be done. Nana Farika was instrumental all the way. She coordinated the communities that we linked up with other communities such as New York, even maybe Miami and other places. And ones did the work until the day of arrival. It was a very beautiful occasion. I think we rode up with Nana Farika, Sister Esmond, to the airport. There's so many brethren and sisters waiting to see the elders come in. I don't think there was a dry eye when the first face showed up off the arrival area. It was just a joy and a great deal of anticipation. Great shout of Jah went up in the air, and everyone was joyful. The arrival of the elders was a very positive occasion. It created a change in the atmosphere locally, and I think it also created a change among brethren and sistren, because we became more active and more outgoing and positive with it doing work in the community. Nana Farika was a force all the way, even to this day. She's very positive. She helped in every possible way that you can seem to reach out to her. She's always willing. She helped the sisters to guide them in the direction that they should move as far as Rastafari, and even Brethren. She's a great advisor to us. We all get advice from her. Wise advice, solid advice that help us to stay away from the wrong path. The children, she's always a mother to them. And so many children have been a part of her. I don't want to say grandma, but she's like a grandmother to so many children. Everyone knows her, everyone loves her. And it's funny, her own children have to share her with so many other people, which is good. I'm happy to say this community really love her. And I am praying that she continue to have good health and more life and more strength as Jah will.
Give thanks. Ras Sydney is one of the foundation brethren that is in the Washington, D.C. area. Um, as a young Ras, again, when I was studying in university at Howard University, when we cited up His Majesty, Ras Sydney was one of the brethren, Bingy Carlton, and others who we came and saw really holding up the liberty, trotting to Isis with their children, really highlighting that family role, and it was not unusual for us to see brethren at that time trotting with their young children around, and for a young, student in university, that had a major impression, seeing brethren carrying their children on the works with them was very powerful. So we give thanks to Ras Sydney, who up until this day is holding firm. Nana Faraika, again, is one of our matriarchs that we really have been blessed to have and to witness and be in her time. And she still is rising because she's currently writing. She has several works for sale, and I encourage everyone to go on Amazon and to search for Nana Faraika's works, Island in the Sun. She has Sing I a Song of Black Freedom and many other very powerful works. And I want us to not just celebrate our matriarchs with word sound, but celebrate them economically because their legacy is one that is worthy of support. As we continue into the program, we are now going to go around, and I want you all to recognize. I saw Sister Mimi in the chat, bigging up Nana Faraika from South Africa. We have ones in the United States, we have ones in the Caribbean on the line. This is global, the impact of Nana Faraika, Burhan, and Mama Faya. So now we are going to go again to the Southern Hemisphere, to Chile to be exact, and we are going to hear from Sister Valeska of the Empress Menen Foundation in Chile. So again, sit back and let us behold the global impact. And while we wait for that video to come on stream, I just want to recognize Mama Thea has put in the chat a link for Island in the Sun, one of Nana Faraika's works. So if you can go ahead and copy that link and make sure that we see it. Mama Thea has put another link for Sing I a Song of Black Freedom. And again, let us use our economics to show our appreciation for these elders who take their time methodically. I've been to Nana Faraika's gates as she, is busy working and editing, and I can tell everyone here that she spends her days now working on leaving a legacy, a legacy of the written word. So we definitely want to support her on that legacy. It has been one of the great pleasures of my life. As a young virgin, I used to have the honor of taking Nana Farika to grocery shopping. Um, and, for Iman, and I don't know if she knew this, I thought it was a lopsided deal because I was getting so much wisdom on those charts. She would just pour into I, and the only thing I could provide was transportation. So I felt it was an unbalanced exchange. But I really give thanks for because it's really priceless. And again, it has shaped even my own trad within the faith. Um, and starting with Nana Faraika, most of the sistren and the prominent ones within this Rastafari trad, I can say I met them directly through Nana Faraika. The next speaker that I am going to introduce, I could also say the same. This brethren has been inspiration to I and I personally in I and I trad as an attorney at law. He is a pioneer in the Rastafari trad when it comes to the practice of law. I also read many speeches of His Majesty that this brethren had been able to assemble through his publishing imprint. The Kete Jum that I use to bring judgment on Rome was given to I by this next same brethren. If you want to find him, you go downtown Kingston, and ones will direct you to an African-owned bookstore where the knowledge is being held and the flag and the banner is being raised high. Who am I speaking of? I'm speaking of Ras Miguel Lord. Ras Miguel, please unmute your mic and bless the Isemba. The mic is still muted there. Ras Miguel, unmute your mic there. We're working it out. Unmute your mic. My screen is showing your mic is still muted. Bear with us, family.
Is it that we need to ask him to unmute?
It may be. If we can have someone on the technical team enable. And while we get that situation sorted, again, we just want to welcome all of those who may be following us or watching us live on Facebook. We are 98 strong in here from all corners of creation. I want everyone to clap themselves because on a Sunday when you could be doing anything, you have taken the time to join the Rastafari family to give tribute not only to the Battle of Africa, Adwa, and this African victory, but tribute to our matriarchs. So we are working through this technical difficulty. I'm going to ask my royal co-host to unmute while we wait and sort this out. Because as a blue fire, I want to kind of hear, how do you think Empress Title fits into that whole energy? How do we connect this energy of rising Christian to Title?
Yes, right. She definitely fits within the paradigm of blue fire. The fact that she is willing to go to the forefront, or she was willing to go to the forefront for her country, is akin to how the Rastafari Blue Fire woman feels about the Rastafari community. She has trained herself to be able to take these leadership roles. And I envision her as a model for other Rastafari women. As you know, within the Blue Fire camp, so to speak, we have a Blue Fire leadership model that actually shows Ayatas how to take front and center stage. Leadership is extremely important, and looking at those who have come before us is essential in helping all of I shape our individual and unique leadership paradigms. His Majesty, in his autobiography, spoke about his keen admiration of Empress Taitu and how she ruled. So he looked at that model. He didn't care that it wasn't a man that he was looking at. He was looking at who was doing the job and who was doing it effectively, right? And so, that is exactly what sisters are encouraged to do. They're encouraged to stand up and to take the roles that they need to take. We know that our brethren need help. And so I are prepared to be able to balance things.
Perfect balance. We're going to work out this technical difficulty. In the meanwhile, I'm going to ask Mama Tia. Okay, hold on. I think we have a breakthrough here.
Yes.
Miguel?
Yes.
All right. I have Bingy.
Yes. Yes. Greetings and blessings to everyone. We really give thanks. Yes. Pardon? You said the person beside me?
It's okay. It's good now.
I didn't hear that. All right. Thank you. I really give thanks, and it would really be a problem for me if I really didn't speak. I do apologize for joining in a little late. I have so much things that I'm trying to do and trying to accomplish. But certainly with regards to Sister Farika, I am honored. And way back in 1987, I think it was, when we, under the tutelage of Prince David Makonnen, His Majesty's grandson, who had come to Jamaica with His Majesty when he was about 11 years old in 1966. And on his second trip when he came here in 1987, and he assisted us in forming the Ethiopian International Unification Committee.
Brother Miguel, if you can hear us, you are breaking up terribly. So I'm going to suggest that you turn off your camera.
This was an organization that had representatives from the different Rastafari houses and mansions throughout Jamaica. We had representatives at those meetings now. It was Prince David who suggested that.
We're not hearing you, so we're going to ask you to just hold for a minute.
Hold on one moment there, Rasmus. The reception, the bandwidth is low.
All right.
So we're not getting any of that powerful oration that the is delivering. So we're going to just go ahead and continue and see if we can work out a workaround. and then we'll come forward to the heights. Give thanks. We want to, instead of going in that direction, we're going to continue with our program. With Zoom, there are some challenges. So we're going to go forward to Sister Naomi of the chair of the Nyabingi House in Chile. And here, again, these tributes are coming from all over creation. Give thanks.
Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesties, Haile Selassie and Empress Menenai Rastafari. Blessed love to all our brothers and sisters. This is Sister Valesca from Empress Menen Foundation in Chile. It is an honor for I and I to be part of this lecture series honoring the life of our Rastafari matriarchs, Mama Faya and Nana Farika. And I had the blessing of meeting Mama Faya back in 2017 in Chile in the last Ralak and Rastafari Summit that was organized for the first time between the Nyabingi and the Bobo Ashanti houses together. We come from a young generation in Rastafari, so it was a blessed moment for I and for every eye that came to the gathering to hear the teachings and the wisdom of our beloved Mama Faya and the other elders. I had also the opportunity to share some different moments with Mama Faya as I was her designated driver. And also in Jamaica, I could share some family time with the whole Faya family. So I give thanks for that too. I just wanted to give thanks to Jah Rastafari for making all of this possible, for letting us know Mama Faya, know her story, her wisdom, to learn from her. Mama Faya is one of the strongest women I ever met. So I would like to extend our greetings from the southern cold part of the world and send all our love to Mama Faya, for she is a big example and inspiration for I and I.
Greetings and blessings.
Greetings. Next, we will have an testimony from Mama Thea, who is also living in the same region as Mama Nana Farika. And I am just pleased to know that Nana Farika has such kind energies around her, such as the jazz match Kwasi and Mama Thea. Mama Thea's vibration is very loving. She has adoration and respect for her elders. And so I am certain that the energy between her and Nana Farika is reciprocal and that it is love, love. Mama Thea. You're muted.
Okay. Okay, I think Rastafari love to the global family. Give thanks for that introduction, Rasesh Jazanai. You know, when I was putting together my thoughts on Nana Farika, I said I just wanted to really flow from the heart. And one of the things that I could most definitely say about her is that she has many facets, you know. And as I was talking to her earlier, you know, when she came, she's a journalist, that's what she studied. And when early in the ages, when she was writing, she said, oh, I had this wonderful writing career, but it's through Rastafari and some of the political struggles that was happening in Jamaica at the time that she was a little bit ousted by the Jamaican government in terms of her writing ability, because at the time the government thought that Rastafari was coming to overthrow the government. So in her 83 years of age, she's still pushing forward and trying to complete those works. There's so many works she has under her belt, and she said, okay, I may have about 10 more years in me, but to be Rastafari and how um,
Mama Thea, you went silent. We can't hear.
yes,
Yes, I.
okay. Um, can you hear? Okay. So just going forward with that foundation within the Pan-African, that's some Pan-African movement, that's something that's very dear to Nana Faraka's heart. I would also give you all a story. This happened maybe about a year and a half ago, like just her physical fitness, the way she has been able to take care of herself at 83 years old, she's still walking very strong. Her mind is clearly still very sound, and it just has a lot to do with her rejuvenation practices. She does acupuncture. She makes sure she takes her CoQ10 and her iodine, and she makes sure she stays on a regimen to maintain her health, which I think is something critical within I&I. IRITS and I&I Foundation, that all of us, at any age need to really look at Nana Faraika as a platform for that. I had to take her to the airport one early morning. She was going to visit her brother who was ailing in Jamaica, and she had to catch a flight. The flight was supposed to leave from Washington, D.C. We went there early in the morning, and then the flight got canceled. There was another gentleman that checked her in, and for some reason he helped us in getting her another ticket to go out of Dulles. So those of you all who know the DC area, it's like a 40-minute ride. So I had to dash to Dulles Airport to get her to from DC to get her to Dulles to catch this flight to meet her brother who was ailing. And as I dropped there, she had about 30 minutes to get, from the car to the gate to load up into the car. So I said, okay, Nana Faraka, wait for me right here. I'm going to put your bags in first, and then you can come after. So as I put the bags and come to get her, she's two-stepping from the car to reach to her check-in point for the plane. And I was like, oh, look at Nana Faraka. I said, look at you running for the plane at 80. At that time, she was 82 years old. I said, you're running for the plane. And I said, I hope that at 82, I'm able to have such zeal and such youthfulness in terms of, her body being agile. And she just laughed, because Nana Faraka, if any of you all know her closely, she's one that loves laughter. And yeah, so those are the things I have to say. I know many of the sistren, who are foundational sistren in the Rastafari movement also have been in the bosom of Nana Faraika in terms of her knowledge base, in terms of her experience. So, we all honor her for all of the work that she has done and the work that she is continuing to do. I also want to just greet and hail up Mama Faya. It's so nice to see the eyes, so beautiful. When you first came on, just seeing Sarah put you together and shine up your face was a really islandful sight to see. I cannot wait to come and visit with the I and the I family again. And these foundational sisterns, it's the power that comes from them. It emanates more than what words can really even speak. This is an energy that comes from deep within. So when in the presence of these sisters, like Nana Faraka and Mama Faya, it's a countenance that, I'm honored to be able to have been in the shadow of them. So I give thanks to the gathering, Rastafari, love to the family.
Give thanks, Mama Thea, for that very powerful tribute. And for ones who don't know, Mama Thea is one of the most dependable sistren that you will lay your eyes on. And I know she's been working, ensuring, even during this time of COVID, making sure that Nana Faraika has what she needs, along with her children who have been rallying around the matriarch. So we definitely give thanks for that rousing tribute. We're going to continue with the program, and please forgive some of the technical difficulties that we're having in terms of connection. This is the era of Zoom, but with that comes the challenges as well. But we give thanks that we could have close to 100 people online from all over the world in this intimate setting, just celebrating and commemorating what is important to I and I. I think that's a victory in and of itself. So let's go forward once again to the Southern Hemisphere, where we can hear from Sister Naomi of Chile.
Greetings and blessing in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen Asfa. I and I, Sister Naomi, from the House of Chile, and would like to send these words to our beloved mothers, matriarchs, ancient Nyabingi women, Mama Faya and Mama Farika. And also would like to send all the respect and blessing, and to say that I and I, as young Rastafari women, give thanks for the constant contribution around the world of these mothers, and that I and I know that these mothers are truly ambassadors of the King of Kings and the Queens of Queens. So giving thanks and sending all the love and respect. Rastafari, one perfect love.
Greetings, give thanks. At this time, Brother Miguel is ready to reason. So, Brother Miguel, can you forward, please?
Unmute yourself, Brother Miguel, and also maybe keeping your camera off will help with the quality of the audio.
Yes. Greetings and blessings. I hope I'm being heard now.
Yes.
Brother Kwasi, am I being heard?
Yes.
All right.
We can hear
Thanks. All right. Let us swim through the waters. Greetings and blessings to everyone. Honor and majestical glory. Let us all hail him who have sent and Haile Selassie I the first, and the mother of creation, Empress Menen I. Give Isis to all, give thanks for the organization, give thanks for the greetings, give thanks for the blessings. Like I said, Mama Farika and I, we have worked a lot together in many ways and so on, but I would regard the highlight of our work was in 1987, when under the tutelage of Prince Dawit Makonnen, Prince Dawit, His Majesty's grandson, who had accompanied His Majesty to Jamaica in 1966, and when he came back in 1987. And we had representatives from all the houses and mansions within Rastafari. And the organization was formed, the Ethiopian International Unification Committee.
We're getting a little bit of feedback. Ras Miguel, can you come again? The Ethiopian Committee. We're getting a little bit of feedback there. This is critical history that is being shared.
I give thanks.
Brother Miguel, your word sound is very powerful, but we're not getting the fullness. We're not getting the fullness.
As the chairman of the organization, I Very good.
We're trying to work out the
Well,
technical difficulty. Ras Miguel, we didn't speak a lot.
Unmute. I've unmuted. I don't know if you're hearing me now.
Yes,
My
but
mic is unmuted.
we had a significant lag, so your words were being slurred. You were talking about your tenure with Nana Furaika in the Ethiopian unification entity. So we want to make sure that one catch that because that was historic work.
Yes. Well, the interest of that is that Mama Faraika was elected co-chair of that organization with myself. So we had a chairman and a chair queen, and that was Mama Faraika. So we worked together now for many years as head of the Ethiopian International Unification Committee. We did a lot of work across Jamaica, went to many schools, many communities, many universities, distributing books, sharing the message of Rastafari right throughout. We also brought in things to give out to our brothers and sisters. Not long after there was a hurricane, so we had to go around distributing things that we had brought in from the States, from England, and from other places and distribute. So, in other words, I worked very closely, very intimately with Sister Faraika during our time at the Ethiopian International Unification Committee, which was for many years. Because even when she trod on to Washington and sojourned there, we continued the work together, being chair and co-chair of the Ethiopian Unification Committee.
We're getting the lag again. But what Ras Miguel is saying is very significant.
Poems on my poem, on my program. And certainly book, sing a song of Black freedom. Another book.
Yes, it seems significant lag in the communication. So, brethren and sisters, bear with us. We're using the Zoom platform, but based on factors beyond our control, sometimes the connection is not clear. That being said, we want to continue with the program. We do value your time, and we are here for a limited moment. But what Ras Miguel was saying was very significant in that Nana Faraika was the co-chair of an all-Mancham effort that predated the all-Mancham effort that was represented by the Millennium Council. So these efforts are not new within our community, and our matriarch was integral. That being said, I and I are going to continue to move on. We want to hear from one of our honorees. You've heard from various ones, whether family, ones who have been in her presence, and anyone who is blessed to be in the presence of this matriarch who we're going to hear from live right now, will testify of the islandness, of the power, of the, that electric force of the mission of Rastafari that she embodies in all that she does. As I think Brother Jake said, she's singular in that she has a tabernacle at her gates, which shows her livocation to the faith. And if anything that we can learn from her, the perseverance through childbirth, the perseverance through cancer, it's that the matriarch and the life that she lives is one of struggle and one of triumph, one of struggle and one of triumph. She faces the struggle as Empress Taitu did at the Battle of Ottawa, and ultimately she is crowned triumphant. So it's with great honor that I introduce to you Mama Fire. Mama Fire, can you please unmute yourself and grace us with the beautiful word song?
Hallelujah.
Haile Selassie the first. Aye. Yes, Mama Fire. Yes, Mama Fire. They I have the floor over land and sea. Ones are waiting to hear from the heights.
Her bandwidth is a bit low. I'm trying to.
Bear with I, brethren and sisters. May also help if it turns off the camera as well. Mama Fire, can I hear I? Brethren and sisters, this is a truly historic occasion, and with history, there comes challenges. So we give thanks as we work through the challenges. We give thanks for the patience. We want to recognize some of our esteemed guests within this webinar. Welcome ones from Tron, where I see Dr. Imani Tafari, I see Aya Gif, I see John Senior, Idor Vice President in the chat. I see Habisha linking in, Bingi Shan from Ghana. I see ones in here from South Africa. Family, this is truly historic occasion. And again, while we wait for us to see if we can clear up some technical difficulties. Fire.
She's ready. Let's go.
All right. Give that.
Yeah. Rastafari. Yes, I greetings and blessings. Yes, to my Rastafari family and continue to the whole universe. Give thanks for this blessed moment. Yes, I more love and strength to the item. To put forth such a blessed occasion. In a time like this, when I really seen the Gideon in Rome. Yes, sir, because yes, sister, what they are talking about, what is going on. Yes, it even sure that I have to yield to my ancient ancestors and my ancient Rastafari matriarch and patriarch who really led this way Yeah, and it wasn't easy. It was a terrible battle from that time until this time, even although maybe this time we are here not really fretting off the hunting of the Babylon with them that call police and the system and everything is down on us that by the second year we have to move from here again and go to there, and by the third year we have to move from there again and go to there. Only a tribulation of Babylon. But give thanks and praise unto the creator of life. Yeah, because although everyone sometimes is not going on and nothing is not going on, but to highlight who go through the fire from that time and to this time, and I have a lot to say. We are moving on, we are treading on through the power of the Almighty Emperor Haile Selassie, the perfect balance of Mama Empress Menenai. Yes, I. And when I say this, I'm not saying it with no apology. I am saying it as a Rastafari daughter of His Imperial Majesty, without no apology. Because the journey wasn't easy until now. But give thanks to know that I can sit here now and I can see some policeman come and them heal Mama Fire with an respect and love. One time they were hunting us. And we are afraid that every day we are looking them and we are afraid, but give that is one of a good accomplish for I and I.
Move it there.
Mama Fire's bandwidth is low. Rases, Jazanai, or Kwasi, can we move to the tribute from Bongo Wisely, please?
Yes, give thanks. We'll be joined with Mama Fire as soon as the connection is heightened. Bongo Wisely, we look forward to the ice ceremony. Forward.
Yes, I greetings. Rastafari. Yeah, them hearing I?
Loud and clear.
Blessed love. Yes, give thanks for the opportunity to be here today to show PINI respect and tribute to the empresses. Well, this is the month of March, which is International Women's Day. So we recognize all the empresses over land and sea. And today specifically, we're paying tribute to Mama Fire and Mama Faraika. Well, I must say I have heard about Mama Fire, but I've never met her in person. I don't know her that much, but Mama Faraika, I had the honor of meeting her in 1983 at the Rita Conference at Mona Center, Mona University of the West Indies. And I must say from that time on, she has really been an inspiration to me. Because at that time, I realized that Mama Faraika worked with the government of Jamaica. And I, as a youth at the time, was working with the Ministry of Agriculture in St. Lucia. And I must say, I used to get enough fire from my brethren and sisters in terms of working for Babylon and them kind of thing there, But I give thanks, that it was really an inspiration for me to see a Rastafari matriarch of that status, and still offering her service to the state, so that kind of gave me more confidence to really continue to do what I was doing, because it was my intention. I never saw myself as working for the system, but I saw myself at the time as providing a service to the farmers, of which I was part of, So it was really an inspiration meeting Mama Faraika in 1983. Then the next time I met her was in 1998 in Barbados at the Rastafari International Conference. And I must say, well, Sister Faraika was closer with my Empress, which is Sister Sarael, who has unfortunately left us, a couple months ago, who I think would have been more fitting to really pay the tribute to Mama Faraika, because the two of them was more in communication than I, but I give thanks that the opportunity has fallen on my shoulders, that I have to do it. And I give thanks, for Mama Faraika as a poet, as a journalist, as a one who wrote books, publisher. She wrote books especially for children. At the same 1983 conference, I was fortunate to able to purchase one of her books, Haile Selassie I, which is a book of poems which she wrote. And I still have that book in my possession, and it has really been a strength for me, And in ending, I would like to recite one of her poems, I must say, well, Mama Faraika as a woman, because growing at the time, coming up as Rastafari, that patriarchal status was quite prominent, because in St. Lucia, where I'm from at the time, the saying was going as a women cannot be Rasta, so, and seeing, the sister of such status, it was an inspiration to me, and I must give thanks, for Mama Faraika for the stance she took, because even whilst visiting Jamaica during that time, following the 83 conference, 84, 85, and so on, she used to get enough fire from some of the elders as well, but she was resistant and she stood firm. She never gave up. She never backed down. She never, allow the criticism which was coming from some of the elders to really deter her or derail her mission. And all of these things has resonated with me, in everything we're doing, as long as we know what we are about, in spite of what people may say, we need to stand firm, we need to remain focused. And that is what she has done up to at the age of 83, she's still, from what the testimony I've heard there from brethren and sisters, she seemed to be quite strong and still able, to keep up on the battlefield.
Give thanks, Bongo Wisely, for the testimony. We have a few more ones, and we're gonna ask ones if we can.
Can I recite one of her poems?
Now that you said it, I could not refuse the eye. So go forward and recite the poem. Isis.
Yeah, man. It's a poem which it says, "Come, let we repatriate," which we all know Rastafari stand with repatriation. And it says, "Come, let we repatriate to Ethiopia, Africa, and I fatherland, and leave this West behind. Come, let us repatriate. No longer must we tolerate centuries of exile, years of sorrow, years of tears from Africa, our homeland. We are going home. Let us chant down Babylon. Let us dance. Let us sing. Let Nyabingi show us how. We, the 70,000 who never bow. Let us make repatriation our only cry. Let us make repatriation our one desire. Come, let us liberate Ethiopia, our homeland. For those who scattered us must gather us. It is written in prophecy, come, let us repatriate to Ethiopia, Africa, home of mankind, I Zion. Come, let us repatriate. Rastafari.
Power.
Thanks, Mama Fanaika.
That speech took I, man, to the first trot I made to Ghana in my lifetime, which was with Nana Faraika in 2005. So really, give thanks. She never wavered from that vision of repatriation. And we're going to continue with the tributes. We're going to ask ones to limit the tribute to 2 minutes. We're a little bit over time, but ones can see that we're fighting the Zoom technical issues. So we give thanks for the patience. Is Ras Ivi present? Who can give maybe a brief tribute from Mama Fire, as well as Nana Faraika. And then we also have Bingy Glenn, the convener of the Tron Global Online as well, who also can give a brief tribute. Ras Ivi, are you in?
Yes, man. I'm on day, Rasta, man. Give thanks. Love and blessings, Rastafari. The time is short, but I must first give thanks for the family for us doing this tribute on behalf of two islandful matriarchs, for Nana Faraika, resolute. She was Rastafari, and she was respectful in all her work. Most of all, I think humility is the hallmark of Nana Faraika that has brought her to where she's at, a matriarch of honor. For Mama Fire, we are talking about a determined Nyabingi warrior queen, determined to make Rastafari her livity, her everyday livity. We give thanks that Mama Fire was chosen today, because when we look at her and look at the Bingi, we say, yes, if there is a matriarch of the order, it must be Mama Fire. She's thus named. And we give thanks because she has been through great tribulation. She never give up. She was determined even during her time of illness. She was helping others. Sometimes we say, Mama Fire, where I take on this for? She said, no, Bingi Ivi, but you know, him no well and him come and I have to do this. And once she do all of that, another person who was ill, you hear say, that person is by Mama Fire. We say, Mama Fire, you know, to say you sick. During her illness, she found time to assist others. A woman of great tribulations. If we talk about her, time is not enough, but we trust that Mama Fire will continue her life journey. 17 years of hosting the Victory at Ottawa celebration. You know, we know of her tenure. She has been through and tasted what Yashima Bet tasted, losing successive offsprings that went up to 10. She's a victorious lioness who has really done her portion. Give thanks. Mama Fire, enough love and blessings. Family, we applaud the item to name these two matriarchs. Very deserving. Sister Mimi from South Africa, Sarah Ivi, tell them for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to get on. But if I get the chance, I would have been there at their feet to wash their feet and say, well done, matriarchs of Rastafari. Give thanks. I still have more time?
No, time is out, Rasta.
Give thanks, family. Blessing and love.
From Bingy Glenn. Bingy Glenn on.
I says I.
Yes, I.
Your voice was muffled. I don't know if I thought I heard my name. I'm not sure.
Yes, I. The I is forwarding now. Give thanks.
Isis, give thanks, give thanks. Yeah, first of all, greetings, family. Time is short, and in a way, sorry that it's short, but at the same time, I am unprepared, so I just going to talk freely, you know. Nana Fraika, I've known since I believe it was 1988, you know, the first elder strad from Jamaica. And I was very impressed with how well spoken she was, humility. And then underneath that, you sense this fire, you know, is a mama where you can see that she had a lot of principles and very intellectual, very intellectual. I came to DC over the years a number of times and had pleasure to sit with her and speak with her. And I felt that she was never really given the recognition that she is deserving of. And I have to applaud Idor for, you know, doing this for her. Yeah, it is good that we are in life, you know, celebrating the strength of our community, especially our women. So we give thanks for that. Yes, I pray that she live for many, many more years and be able to finish the works that she has started. I know she's an avid worker. I know that she has a lot of projects that she's working on. Enough health and strength, Nana Faraika. Keep up the good work. And it's an honor to celebrate you. And we give thanks. Now, moving to Mama Fire. I had reason to know of Mama Fire through Ras Ivai, because we have our organization where we try to honor our creed in the best way that we can. And he brought it to our attention that Mama Fire was struggling with stage 4 cancer and thing. And so we stepped in. He brought Mama Fire to be on the platform. At the time, it was just a audio conference call platform, and she came, and she had this fiery vibrancy about her, and love for His Majesty, and very, very focused, very clear in her thought and what she had to say. Very decent, loving mama, and we as a global family, we put our little much together and was able to give her strength. It was such an honor to be able to kind of help her in that time. And she was so graceful, so gracious about it. Always appreciative, and that's one of the things I really love about her so much, and her philanthropic spirit, the way she's always willing to help people. Then I'm reminded by Ras Iva of what she went through with the many years, losing child after child after child. And I was like, wow, what a strong woman. What a strong woman. And she went through all of that. And even when the big C come knock at her door, she just kick with the boy and still there amongst we. We give thanks. I finally met her in face-to-face, I should say, at Bingy down at Pit 4 in 2016. And it was like a mama that I had known all my life. She's so true to herself, she wear her emotions on her sleeve, nothing fake about her, and I'm so honored to know her in my trad, and She has added inspiration to my life as well as Nana Faraika. And I give thanks for the opportunity, Rastafari.
Give thanks, Bingy Glenn. I want to give an opportunity for Bingy Sean, who is currently in Ghana, West Africa, to block a song on Nana Faraika. Bingy Sean, can I unmute the line? And then we'll try one final time to see if Ras Miguel's line is active. Bingy Sean. Also, we want to just really send apologies. Nana Faraika was not able to join us live today. We will definitely ensure that she gets the full recording so she can hear the tributes directly. Is Bingy Sean on? Can we unmute him?
Yeah, no stopping you, Sister Phil. Yeah, was away.
Can you mute your line there, Bingy Glenn?
1 second.
Give thanks, give thanks. If he's not ready, Ras Miguel, is your channel open?
Yes, I think it's open.
We're gonna give you another opportunity because you were saying some powerful things. Can you give us a quick summation before we go into our seal?
Yes, I moved to Mama Fire because with this technology trying to block us. But if there's anyone amongst us who epitomizes Empress Taitu, it would be Mama Fire. And I just want to say that I'm honored that over the years, this is Mama Fire. I was very close to her in her fight for the land that she now occupies. I was merely the instrument in terms of Mama Fire would say, Brother Miguel, you write the letters. And I wrote the letters to the National Land Agency, to the councillor, to the member of parliament, and the different persons. She said, you send the letters, Brother Miguel, and I will go in person. So once Mama Fire go to any of these places, and she will ask them, did you get a letter from my lawyer? And once them say yes, Mama Fire is in through the door, and she carry on that fight. I watch her relentlessly for over 20 years, never giving up, and above all, never begging. I admire her, that fight to set up that citadel, which she has now set up out in Buff Bay. She really championed that cause and challenged the system and say, I have a right to this land and I'm not going to move. And they have to know, respect her. I give thanks for that. The other thing I want to mention was when we went to Martinique. The Martinican government had invited a delegation of Rastafari. We traveled to St. Lucia. The government sent a plane over to St. Lucia to take us to Martinique. And in Martinique, and I can sure will support this 100%. In Martinique, Mama Fire was the matriarch that led us right throughout. I think it was a 1-week trip. At all the functions that we go, at all the houses that we visited, Mama Fire led the way powerfully. I give thanks, blessings and honor.
Give thanks, my royal co-host, Rasas Datanai Kush. I will turn over the floor to the eye after that powerful presentation by our brother Ras Miguel.
Yes, hi. Is Bingy Sean ready? If not, I believe that Mama Ifia would like to block a sound in tribute. A brief sound. Is Bingy Sean available?
Bingy Sean, if not, let's, Sister Ifia, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Greeting.
Greetings.
Love Rastafari, perfect love in the house. I listening to both the tribute to Mama Nana Faraika and Queen Mother Mama Fire. And it brings me forward to a youth because I remember Mama Fire, as she have expressed in so many times, a relationship with my family, Mama Yanzi in particular, her sister, Queen Mama Nora, who lived side by side us neighbors. And we remember our daughter, my sister in Princess Beth, who at youth age were holding a nice iritical iris within the Naya Bingi at the time. And many of I family, Mama Fire was always there in the front row as that dark skin fire that has been blazing through time, you know? And so I give thanks and I'm honored. I saw Mama Nana Faraika, and I remember her right there in the midst of the ancient. And I hear Bongo Wisely mention it, that she got a lot of fire at times because she was bringing in paper. She was sharing information in writing. And a lot of the ones at the time, because of the systematic oppression, they rejected it in most cases because they saw it as a way of suppressing and oppressing our people, because our children, like Mama Fire daughter, Princess, who was denied from school because of her dreadlocks when she won the scholarship, a track and field scholarship. And those, energies that she have suffered throughout the time. I remember Bongo Shati, even before Mama Fire, they got together, but Bongo Shati, Mama Fire's previous kingman, was really a close friend of our family. So that relationship with Mama Fire and I family has been one of those lasting relationships in Rastafari. And her strength and her resilience really have surpassed a lot of things that have gone on within this nation here, Jamaica, and really have transcended boundary. So I'm thankful for Nana Faraika, who I spoke briefly with yesterday, and Queen Mother Fire, Mama Fire, and daughter Darling, who we know her as when we were growing up as children. We give thanks for her, and I'm honored to be able to share Iris with her living testimonies and her living experience. Perfect love, and I've seen Papa Fire on the screen. Hail up Rastafari, Majesty love.
Majestic.
Yes, I give thanks. At this time, we want to share a small token of our appreciation for Nana Faraika, as well as for Mama Fire. IDOR, along with the School of Sacrament, will be sending both of the honorees a fragrance that was created in honor of Empress Menin's 130th Earth Light, entitled Menin 130. It's a wonderful scent that represents the Empress, and I would be proud to share this with I honorees. Give thanks.
Yes, give thanks. And I think there's no ending to the tributes. However, we do want to be very respectful to everyone's time. And we're going to really bring the program to a seal. I've heard from Idor Chiaras when his internet connection is not the best. So we're going to forego his presentation, but we want to really just give a big round of applause to the organizers of this event, Sosa Crew, School of Sacrament, Rastafari University, the entire team, Ras Jelani, Naya, Ras Wayne, Sister Colleen, Sister Kimberly, all the ones who have been working, Brother Jake, Dr. Shillingford. There are so many ones who are behind the scenes that make this series, such a coveted place for the family to come every year. And this we're seeing is the fragrance, the Empress, the Menin 130. This looks like it might cost 10,000 US. I don't know price tag, but it looked well beautiful, you know, and this shows what we can do as a people. Did you want to block any sound about what we're looking at here, Rases, Jazz and I?
Yes, briefly, as Rastafari sistren, I have a certain energy, a certain mystique that is in honor of I and I mothers, all of I and I foremothers who've come before I and I. So in trying to capture that, if you could capture it in the bottle, if you could capture the Rastafari woman's energy, her love, her beauty, her commitment, that will be all encompassed in Men in 130. So this was created specifically for the Empress's Earth Light, and I would love to share this with I and I honorees. And so Mama Fire, since you're on the line, I hope you enjoy it and wear it in the best of health. Rastafari.
Give thanks. I understand we have some empresses with a chant. So we want to allow those empresses to come forward with the chant. I think it's Sister Ivy and some other sistering. Maybe raise your hand so that the moderator can unmute the ones then, because I want to hear this chant. And it's, I think, a fitting way to seal this evening of tribute. Sister Ivy, is the idea. South Africa is requesting this chant. And I can tell you right now, it's way up in the hours in South Africa. So we need to give them what they need right now. Sister Ivy is the idea I'm looking. We are looking forward to hear this chant for our matriarchs. While we sort that out, Isis. While we sort out the chant, is that Sister Mimi? Is Sister Mimi going to give us a chant, or what's happening?
Yes, I give thanks. I was thinking maybe this is the Empress Ivy can use Ras Ivy's phone, but I saw her, she was here. But I can just say, matriarchs and patriarchs who have trodden the narrow way. Matriarchs and patriarchs who never go astray. For you have trod great tribulations, but you never give up the fight. Your reward will be great in Mount Zion, blessings from the Most High. Respect to our elders who have showed the narrow way. Respect to our elders who never go astray. Yes, Taito is trying to sing along with me. I was expecting Empress Ivy to chant it and I get me off guard, but I was just saying I would love to salute and I meet tracks. You know, they've been true inspiration and I learn a lot from them, and I will keep on the battle and I will never give up the fight. And surely and truly we'll love to see them setting their foot permanently in the motherland from the tribute of the poem that Elder Wesley have chanted. And I have prepared everything, but just to bring the matriarchs here at home and make that reality. I give thanks, Raskwesi, for everything that is good. I, Rastafari.
And I think there is no more fitting way to seal the program and to mark the global impact that Mama Fire and Nana Foraika have had than to hear a chant chanted from Zion, South Africa, by one of the sistren inspired by their works. So we give thanks to His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, King Rastafari, His perfect balance Empress Menen. Again, my name is the Charles March Kwasi. We're here representing the universal development of Rastafari in conjunction with the School of Sacrament Rastafari University. My royal co-host, Dr. Rases Jazanai. Any final sounds?
I give thanks for all who took the time out to join I. It was a very ileful celebration. Rastafari forevermore.
And look forward to more information. Follow Sosa Crew on Instagram. Drop your email in the chat if you want to be added to the email listing. Every month there will be another webinar. This is something that we are building, as an institution within the community to look at the issues and the challenges and the innovations of our times. So give thanks once again, one perfect love family, and I look forward. Let the words of I mouth, meditations of I heart, humbly and truly be accepted in the eyesight, O true and living I, O Emperor Helii, Selassie the First, King Rastafari, I strength, and I Deemer, yeah, that long live it, reign it, forever and ever. Ila.
Empress Taitu Betul. Around 1851, an Ethiopian noble family who were descendants of royalty, Ras Betul Haile Mariam and his wife Yewibdar, gave birth to their third of fourth children, Taitu Betul Haile Mariam, a little girl who would grow up and become a legendary Ethiopian ruler. Taitu was born within the Oromo Ethiopian Empire and was linked to the Solomonic dynasties. It is said that as a young girl she was subjected to female genital mutilation, which left her unable to bear children. Within the first month of her birth, she was baptized and given the baptismal name of Walata Mikael. Around 1853, Taitu's father died from lingering battle wounds. After a while, her mother remarried a man who was an administrator for the monastery at Beri Mewi. This is the location many people believe Taitu received her education. It was not common for Ethiopian women to receive an education at the time, but Taitu was the exception. She could read and write in the Amharic language and could even understand the Ge'ez language. She was remarkably gifted. Her hobbies were playing chess, writing poetry, and playing instruments such as the begana and the lyre. Both the begana and the lyre are string instruments similar to the guitar. Around the age of 10, Taitu was married to her first husband, a marriage that was not ideal or even lasting. Information suggests that her first husband committed a crime and was punished, but Taitu was forced to experience her husband's punishment with him. It is said that her second marriage ended after she was beaten by her husband. When she left him, she was able to take a good portion of his wealth and servants with her. She would marry and divorce once more before she was married to the prominent Menelik II of Shewa, who would eventually become emperor of Ethiopia. At the time of Taitu and Menelek's marriage, Menelik was the heir to the Ethiopian empire that was ruled by Tewodros II. It took around 10 years before Menelik was able to escape the rule of Tewodros and eventually be named the ruler of Shewa in 1865. Taitu was an asset to the Ethiopian empire because of her brilliance as a leader, which was displayed before and after her marriage to Menelik. She was able to deny the idea of reconstructing Ethiopia by a group of people considered progressive. With Taitu at his side, Menelik would be able to become emperor of